I wasn't lost in the woods or trapped on a desert island. I was stuck in something far more terrifying. A life that felt like it was going absolutely nowhere. Stare at the ceiling, wondering why I was even getting out of bed. Work a dead-end job that didn't inspire me. Come home, scroll endlessly, and fall asleep feeling like I'd wasted another 24 hours. Not overnight. Not in some movie-style transformation. It was subtle, it was raw, it was real. Repeat. For weeks, for months, for years. Every day looked the same. Wake up, hit snooze 3 times. Like millions of others, I had slipped into the gray zone of life where nothing felt meaningful, but nothing was bad enough to scream for help. I wasn't special. I wasn't brilliant. I wasn't driven. I was simply existing, but then something changed. Not just physical or emotional pain, but the ache of wasted potential. The sting of knowing I was capable of more but doing less. The quiet resentment I felt every time I saw someone thriving and asked myself, why not me? And it all started with one uncomfortable realization. No one was coming to save me. There would be no miracle email, no secret mentor, no winning lottery ticket, a blueprint, a 5-year vision. But I had none of those. I didn't even know what I wanted. How could I build a plan for a future I couldn't imagine? The cavalry wasn't around the corner. If anything was going to change, it would have to start with me. I didn't know what I was waking up for, but I wanted to prove to myself that I could show up, that I could take control of even one small moment of my life. But the raw, unfiltered me. And for the first time in years, I realized there was still something inside me worth fighting for. That truth was hard to swallow, but it was the first real moment of clarity I'd had in years. I didn't start meditating on a mountain or building an empire. I just started saying no. 2 things that drained me, but I made one decision a day that scared me, and that changed everything. I stopped pretending to be okay with a life I hated, and slowly, I gave myself permission to want more. At first it felt like a burden, but later, it became my freedom, then 2, then 5. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing something. I stopped drowning it with distractions. I asked myself the question I had been avoiding for years. See, we're often told we need a plan. I began with the only thing I had, pain. Not for motivation, but for understanding. I didn't want hype. I wanted truth. Stories of people who started with nothing. Stories that reminded me I wasn't alone in feeling lost. So I did something simple. I started listening to that pain. Instead of numbing it, I let it speak. What if this isn't all there is? I didn't get an answer. Not right away. But that question haunted me. In a good way, it lingered. It nudged me every time I reached for comfort instead of growth. One night, after yet another day of scrolling and feeling empty, I opened a blank document on my computer. I wrote 3 sentences. I don't know what I want, I don't know who I am, but I'm done living like this. That was the first commitment I made to myself. Not a promise to be great, not a declaration of success, just a vow to stop being numb. The next day I set my alarm 15 minutes earlier. It felt pointless at first, but it wasn't, because in those 15 quiet minutes I met myself again. Not the version the world saw, not the person I pretended to be. I didn't suddenly become productive. I read 1 page of a book, I listened to podcasts. One story stood out. A guy said, I was a nobody, no money, no degree. Just pain that hit me, 1 decision a day. Not a complete life overhaul, just a shift, a crack in the routine. So I tried it. Day 1, I deleted the social media app I used to escape reality. Day 2, I reached out to someone I admired. Not to ask for anything, just to say thank you. I used to write when I was younger. Just silly stuff. Stories, poems, short scripts. I hadn't touched a keyboard for fun in years. Day 3, I wrote down 10 things I liked doing as a kid. Most of them were dumb, but one stood out. Storytelling. That blew the dust off something I didn't know I'd buried. I realized those were just labels I wore to protect myself from trying. Because trying meant risking failure. And failure meant confirming my worst fear, that I didn't matter. I opened a new document. I wrote 1 paragraph. It was terrible, but I smiled. Something inside me stirred. You don't need elite skills. You don't need to have it all figured out. I wrote again the next day, and again the day after that. It wasn't about being good, it was about being alive. Within a few weeks I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Momentum. I wasn't speeding towards success, but I wasn't stuck anymore either. That shift changed how I saw myself. I stopped calling myself untalented or lazy, but I did matter. And deep down, so do you. Because for the first time, I had tasted ownership of my life. And that feeling was addictive. I carried myself differently. I started to attract opportunities. Not because I had a flashy resume, but because I radiated something rare. Hunger. The one who waited for life to happen. The one who settled. The one who believed hope was for other people. You don't need a perfect plan, you just need to care enough to start. I didn't know where I was going, but each small action became a breadcrumb, leading me to the next. I had clarity. Not because someone gave it to me, but because I earned it through trial and error. Not the naive kind, but the kind that's built on evidence that when you show up for yourself, life shows up too. I found free courses online. I learned basic skills. Writing, editing, communication. I picked up freelance gigs, most paid, almost nothing. Maybe it's writing one paragraph. Maybe it's asking yourself, honestly, what's hurting you the most? Whatever it is. But they gave me something more valuable. Systems over inspiration. I realized motivation fades, but discipline can be built. I failed a lot. I was rejected more times than I can count. But I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. I stopped chasing success and started chasing growth. No skills, no hope. That's where I started. I focused on habits over hacks. So I built it slowly, sloppily, relentlessly. I'm here to remind you that the dream is already inside you, waiting, tapping, whispering. Every time I wanted to quit, I reminded myself, this isn't about being amazing. This is about being committed. 6 months in, I was a different person. Not polished, not rich, but awake, curious, proud. That energy bled into everything. I treated people better. That hunger is your superpower, not talent, not luck, but the refusal to stay stagnant. A year passed. I looked back and didn't recognize the old me. I now had skills, not from school, but from sweat. I had hope. Everything changed because I stopped waiting. And maybe that's what you need to hear right now. You don't need a full map. You just need your next step. Maybe it's waking up 10 minutes earlier. Not perfectly, not confidently, just courageously. Because the truth is, rock bottom isn't the end. It's the foundation. And from that foundation, you can build something extraordinary. I'm not here to sell you a dream. And the only question left is, will you answer? No plan, but not where I stayed. So if you feel like you have nothing right now, I promise you that's enough. Because from nothing, everything can be.